Mission to Mars. A special book project with Create and Learn. By Tenzin, Kosel and Luke Guo. Introduction. The year is 2045 and this is the story of the Enterprise XL-5 mission, a daring crewed mission spearheaded by NASA to uncover the mysteries of Mars. Join Commander George Walker and his intrepid crew as they traverse deep space, encountering challenges, discoveries, and unexpected allies along the way. In Mission to Mars, you'll delve into the lives of the crew members, from the ambitious pilot George Walker, to the spirited co-pilot Luke Callow, the resourceful engineer Callum White, to the insightful scientist Brent Chen, and the compassionate medical officer Pateri Virginia. Each brings their unique skills and passions to the mission, reflecting the diverse fabric of humanity. As the Enterprise XL-5 hurtles towards Mars aboard the fastest spaceship ever constructed, readers will witness the crew's rigorous training on Earth, preparing for the trials of zero gravity and the harsh conditions of an alien world. From the desolate landscapes of Mauna Loa, Hawaii, to the excitement and nervous anticipation of launch day, the journey unfolds with tension and scientific discovery. Yet, the true adventure begins upon touchdown in the Hellas Basin on Mars, a place where ancient secrets lay buried beneath the rusty soil. As the crew sets up their base and ventures into uncharted territories, they stumble upon discoveries that defy expectations, remnants of a bygone Martian lake, unfamiliar life forms, and encounters with intelligent and benevolent extraterrestrial beings. Immerse yourself in a tale that blends scientific speculation with human drama, a testament to the boundless possibilities of space exploration. As we turn our eyes towards the stars, may this account inspire wonder and ignite a shared dream of reaching the Red Planet. Authors Tenzin, Kosel and Luke Guo welcome you aboard the Enterprise XL-5. The journey awaits. Bruce Callow. Calgary, Alberta. April, 2024. Mission Profile. Year of Launch, 2045. Agency, NASA. Name of Spaceship, Enterprise XL-5. Crew, 5. Chapter 1. Meet the crew. The commander, pilot is George Walker from Spokane, Washington. He is 49 years old and he likes programming computers and lunar space travel. 37-year-old first officer/co-pilot Luke Callow is from Chicago and likes to play sports and video games. The chief engineer is 29-year-old Callum White who is from Atlanta, Georgia. He likes repairing planes and sailboats. Medical officer Pateri Vi is 42 years old and is from New York City and she likes watching New York City news. Science officer Brent Chen is 50 years old and is from Bogota, Colombia. He likes to read science books of all kinds. The main objective of the mission is to find water and life on Mars. The spaceship going to Mars is called the Enterprise XL-5. This ship is the fastest and coolest spaceship ever built and it took 2 years to build and 10 years to design. Chapter 2. Zero G and Mars Prep. For part of the training the crew went up in a zero-gravity plane so that they could get used to working in zero gravity. All of the crew vomited when they landed because they hadn't felt like vomiting while they were on the flight. No one was embarrassed about this as it is part of training. The crew did a lot of fitness training including an hour a day on a treadmill as well as weightlifting. They practiced in a room with airlocks so they could simulate putting on and taking off their spacesuits and checking if the pressure was correct. All of the training took place at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. The crew then went to the island of Hawaii for training because the top of the Mauna Loa volcano simulates the conditions on Mars. The crew did not like it up there because they were bored and lonely but everyone got along without any fights. They were able to simulate what they would do if they found water on Mars. Chapter 3. Launch Day. There was a lot of preparation before the launch including getting the booster rockets ready and testing all of the systems. On the day of the launch, the rocket went off course a minute after it was launched but it got back on course. This happened because it was a cloudy day. The families of the astronauts were sad that they would not see the astronauts for a few years but they were also happy because they would finally send a mission to Mars. The crew of the spaceship felt the same. Everybody was celebrating the successful launch and felt excited and happy. Chapter 4. Getting to Mars. The first 3 months of the flight felt very long for the crew because time did not pass as fast as on Earth and things were happening in space way slower than on Earth. When they got bored they would watch movies like The Martian and played games including space simulators, where they practiced for what would happen on the mission including landing the spaceship on Mars. The crew did a lot of physical training to help prepare themselves for the low gravity on Mars. They used the treadmill 3 hours a day to help them stay strong and they also lifted weights. The crew ate food like hamburgers, mango ice cream, which was a bit tasteless, and salad which was Pateri Vi's favorite. 4 months into the flight a micrometeorite hit the spaceship's engine which caused a fuel leak and an engine to fail. This caused the ship to go off course. They decided to go back and slingshot around Earth so they could get more speed as their rocket boosters did not have enough fuel to take them to Mars. Chapter 5. Unveiling Mars, Exploring the Hellas Basin. It took 6 months for the spaceship to get to Mars. They traveled faster than the speed of sound by using Earth's gravity and slingshotting around Earth for a long time. The crew landed their space capsule on the Hellas Basin on Mars, which is twice the size of Alaska. The landing went well, but it was a bit bumpy. The crew felt like they had accomplished something important and done the impossible. The first thing they did was to set up inflatable plastic domes and a shelter. They used light materials because they were flexible and could be adapted to the extreme weather on Mars like dust storms and Marsquakes. With their shelter and living quarters set up, the astronauts geared up for their Martian adventure. Stepping out onto the rocky terrain, they looked at the huge Hellas Basin stretching before them. Armed with high-tech gadgets, they began their mission, eager to uncover the secrets of the Red Planet. Their task? To scoop up Martian dirt and hunt for any hints of past life, and study the rocks and atmosphere. Chapter 6. Meeting the Blue Aliens. The astronauts had trouble doing the investigation because the supply ship had an engine failure and it had to turn back to Earth. The crew could only use the equipment they brought with them on their spaceship, which was not that much, but it was enough to do some digging on Mars. During the digging they found plutonium that had been left behind by aliens. They found bones never seen by humans before as well as alien fingerprints on some of the rocks. The astronauts later used the plutonium to heat their base when they lost power. After the diggings they met live aliens for the first time. The aliens were about the same height as the astronauts and had one eye and long blue tentacles. The crew thought the aliens were going to steal their equipment, but it didn't happen. The aliens were actually friendly and smart and used telepathy to communicate with the astronauts. The astronauts asked the aliens why they were on Mars. The leader of the aliens replied, "Our planet had a three-body problem which caused two stars to start pulling our planet, which caused great changes in temperature on our planet, so we couldn't live there anymore. That's why we came to Mars, to look for a new home." The astronauts were satisfied that the aliens were not dangerous and they were going to be on Mars. The astronauts thought that if they were not going to be bothering each other, things should be fine, and started thinking about inviting them to visit Earth. Chapter 7. Frozen Discoveries, Life on Ancient Mars. Commander George Walker got cut on his leg while going through an airlock that could not handle the pressure, so it exploded. The crew was able to construct a wall where the explosion took place and seal it off. George recovered completely after about 5 months. The supply ship arrived on Mars after George got better and the crew received all the supplies that they needed. They found that there used to be a giant lake on Mars and the lake could have had life in it about 2 million years ago. The lake was located in a part of Mars that may have once taken up half of the planet, but when Mars got super cold the lake froze and the lake turned into ice. The crew was able to find some skeletons of small jellyfish-type creatures, like never seen before on Earth. The crew was very excited about these discoveries and Mission Control back on Earth was also excited about the discovery of a new species they had never heard of. The rest of the mission on Mars went normally and the crew survived being on Mars for 8 months. Chapter 8. The Black Hole. The crew felt very proud about how their mission had gone and that it had been a great success. An automated shuttle from Earth came to pick up the crew from Mars. The flight home went well. The crew read books, exercised and did some programming. There were a few mechanical problems on the way back, including an engine failure and oxygen leak. The voyage back felt a bit long for the astronauts and bumpy, but all the problems were resolved. Looking through a telescope they saw a planet that had never been seen before orbiting the Sun. It looked like a planet, but with the ship's sensors they discovered that it was made of water and there was a black hole orbiting the planet. When the scientists at Mission Control received this news and they tried locating exactly where it is to learn how dangerous it would be. The reason that this black hole and planet had not been discovered before was because it was formed only a month before the astronauts launched on their ship back home. Chapter 9. Trees 4. One of the main things they learned on this mission was that there was life in other parts of the universe and not just on Earth. They also learned that there are not only 8 planets in our solar system, now there are 9. The official name of the planet is still being decided, but for now it will be called Trees 4. Naming the newly discovered water planet Trees 4 could symbolize the importance of sustainability and environmental awareness in space exploration. The name Trees evokes the Earth's life-sustaining ecosystems, highlighting the potential for life and biodiversity on the new planet. The addition of 4 signifies its position as the 4th planet discovered in a similar habitable zone, linking it with Earth as the 3rd planet in our solar system. The aliens they had met could not come back to Earth with the crew because they would add too much weight to the shuttle. The aliens had to stay on Mars and they made it their home. When the astronauts returned to Earth, the aliens were starting to make their own space shuttle to travel to Earth. The splashdown back on Earth was shaky because there were some problems with the parachutes, but everyone was okay. The crew had learned a lot about life on Mars and discovered a new planet in the solar system. This mission was definitely going to be the best space mission and most exciting mission in history. The end.